There are 3 feminine sexual energy mistakes that you have to avoid if you want to be a desirable, confident, magnetic queen so men are finding you extremely attractive. The first one is having sex rules. When I was trying to attract my king, I was dating all these toads. So I'm dating this guy, I'm having trouble, I'm wanting to attract my soulmate and get married and live happily ever after, and that was not happening. So I'm talking to my life coach about it, and we're obviously talking about, well, how attached are you? Have you had sex? And so I tell her about my rules. I'm like, oh no, like I have all these rules. I never ask a guy out. I would never make the first move. I wait this many days to have sex. And she was French and she was like, oh my God, you Americans are so weird with sex. You have so many rules. My rules weren't a form of empowerment and because I love myself and I was feeling in the moment what I needed. My rules were I was trying to control. I was like trying to get the upper hand and I'm gonna control you. And if you're not having sex for a certain number of days because it's a rule, that is just going to have a negative effect on your relationship. So it's not like you should have sex on the first second or you better wait 1 month. It's about really connecting to your intuition and your feminine sexual energy. And in that moment, your body will open like a flower and tell you exactly when the right time is to make sweet love. The second sexual feminine energy mistake that you need to avoid is obsessing over the orgasm. So we've all heard like, it's about the journey, not the destination, and live in the present moment. I had a client, she had a lot of gnarly sexual shame and guilt, and she would tell me about when she would self-pleasure, and she was like, yeah, like, you know, I just like want to get to the orgasm, and so she'd have porn on and like her vibrator and she would just be going crazy, and I'm like, oh my God, that's not like really beautiful, expansive, magnetic free feminine sexual energy. Like you are in prison. That sounds miserable. That sounds worse than doing the dishes. So I'm like, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull back the obsession and the focus off of the orgasm and like, oh, you only had a great masturbation sesh or sexual encounter if you had this orgasm. And let's start really coming into the moment and focusing on what feels good. So I was like, put the vibrator away, turn the porn off, and just like breathe. Get into the present moment and like maybe start touching yourself softly or take a bath. So she ended up not even having any sexual touches. She didn't even have sex with someone else or self-pleasure. She had the most pleasurable, amazing connection to God experience by just simply getting present and really feeling this joy and pleasure from her senses. Stop obsessing over the orgasm. Third and final feminine sexual energy mistake that you need to avoid is waiting for him to turn you on, get you wet, rev you up, and put you like into the state where you're ready to go. So because we don't have a lot of information and it's like really like taboo and not normal for us to learn, oh my gosh, what turns me on? Then we give all of our power to the guy and think they should be able to read our minds. They should know when they're doing it too hard. Isn't that like the #1 problem? And you're responsible for my pleasure. And so in a simple way, that's like you're giving all of your power. That's powerless and that's a victim energy. Like you're not doing it right. You're not turning me on. And men and women are wired so differently. Here's what I do and what I have all my clients do. Take your power back and start doing things that make you feel super turned on. So for instance, I will like put a really sexy, something that I feel really sexy in, and I will just like dance and like open up and like breathe. And it's like, I'm literally just turning myself on and I feel so good and I feel so desirable. I'm not like, oh my God, I can't get in the sex mood unless he looks at me and tells me I'm hot. And why didn't you tell me I was hot today? Why didn't you give me enough attention? Do you see how toxic and how powerless you become when you're waiting for him to do everything? So you're not like 5, you're not a kid. You get to, and all the time you have your turn on, your desire, your attraction, your sexual feminine energy inside of you. So now it's time to practice quiet down. Start by yourself. Like if you can't do it by yourself, you ain't gonna do it with anyone else. And really tune in and feel and start to turn yourself on. I have goosebumps. And that, sis, unleashes the most beautiful sexual feminine energy that is like so magnetic. They're just gonna all be drawn to you from different sides of the world. I have created this incredibly healing feminine sexual energy meditation. The link is in the description, so just click that and get going. So you can finally release that guilt and that block and just that, friction and fighting, and totally embrace and receive this incredible pleasure and joy that you were built for. And if you are not subscribed yet, hit that icon, subscribe, hit the like button if you dug this video, and I'll see you soon.